Okay, so many of you probably already know, but or perhaps don't really know, but the 7 Deadly Sins Origin developer team has dropped a developer Q&A. Now, they obviously haven't answered the questions yet, and it will take about 3 more days before they will start giving us answers. But before that, let's go through some questions and let's find questions that already have answers. So that people who are wondering about those questions, I can give you guys answers and provide maybe sources for those answers. So you will have a better understanding of the game and won't need to wait for developers to give you an answer for a question that already has available answers. Okay, let's go through this list of questions and let's find some that already have those answers. So one of the questions, will game get PvP and will there be constellations there? Now constellations, this person is probably referring to those that appear in 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross. Now obviously we don't have information regarding this, however, will the game have the PvP? Yes, the game will have PvP, however, we are not sure if the game will have competitive PvP, because the developers said in 2023 that there is in fact PvP, however it's a friendly form of PvP that you can see, for example, in something like Minecraft, where you can beat up your friend, maybe join their world, or just beat each other up, but obviously you are not really losing anything by doing that. Like, you are not rewarded or you lose currency for that. It's just a friendly little match. What are the minimum system requirements for Android and iOS devices? So since the game is based on Unreal Engine 5, it would be very easy to assume the performance requirements, the system requirements for it. So for example, for Android, we will probably need something like a phone that has Snapdragon 888 or an equivalent for a MediaTek spec. What is it called? Dimensity MediaTek 7000 series. Those two will be for the lowest settings of the game, and probably on the high end we will need something like Dimensity MediaTek 8000 series and something like Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 or Gen 1. And for iOS devices, probably bare minimum, it will require iPhone 13 for like lower settings at 60 FPS. Will we be able to earn premium currency in-game, or is it mostly paid? It's probably will be on the side of like Wuthering Waves. Obviously the premium currency will be earnable, but you can obviously also pay for it, because they need to monetize themselves somehow. So next question is, how would the gear/artifact system work? Will there be substats? Yes, there are substats, and the gearing system is quite simple. You need 7 pieces of gear. There are 3 dedicated slots for those gear: upper 2, middle 2, and lower 3. And you can match 2 or 4 of those gears in the upper slots, and in the lower 3 slots you have to match them all to get desired substats. How leveling in game works, from where we gonna get EXP and levels? Well, it will probably be very similar to something like Genshin or Wuthering Waves, where you can earn EXP by just defeating enemies in the world, and also gain EXP materials from other places and other content like what is it called, dungeons or even events. Is it a gacha or an MMO or both? Now, Steam page, for some reason, says that the game is an MMO. Now, it is a gacha, yes. However, we don't know if it is an MMO, so we will have to see that. However, yes, it is in fact a gacha game, and they have confirmed that. Will there be artifact system like Genshin Impact or Echoes from Wuthering Waves? Yes. Will there be a Parry or perfect block system? No, however, it is on a character basis. Because, for example, we have seen a character like Hendrickson utilize a parry and counter an enemy during one of the trailers. So it's probably based on each character. Will there be events, quests revolving around multiplayer? Yes, absolutely. And you can also see dungeons in some gameplay that is available for us. And it's not strictly multiplayer, but you are definitely rewarded for having a team, as it makes it much easier because there are a hordes of enemies and the boss seems to be tankier than usual and requires team effort to defeat it, but you will probably be able to do it on your own. Will there be characters unique to the game? Yes, absolutely. There are multiple original characters. Some are designed by the creator of 7 Deadly Sins Origin, and not Origin, just 7 Deadly Sins, and some are obviously designed to match the style of games such as Wuthering Waves or even Genshin. Will we be able to customize our characters? Yes, there are not only weapons that you can select, 3 types of weapon per character, but also there are cosmetics and there are also pets. What kind of content do you plan to include in those updates? New areas, new game modes, or just small events like bingo boards and mini games, like we usually get in 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross? They have stated that they are planning to add new areas as the game is going on. So they were talking that they had planned like areas with snow, deserted areas, and so on. And they were planning to expand the region and add new regions. Expand the map and add new region as the game is going on. About game modes, I can't answer that because we don't have such information. But yeah, they will definitely do small events so that they can focus their budget on bigger events in the future. Is a PvP system planned? Yes, they already said that there is a friendly PvP. However, they don't know, they obviously know everything. We don't know if the PvP is casual or if there will be a competitive PvP. Will the gear system be based on sets with different passives like in solo leveling or Isle, or more like Grand Cross? So from what we have seen, it's more like Grand Cross, where you put a set and get either a substat or a full stat. So in the game, each character can have 3 types of weapons. How do you plan to let players obtain them? Will they be farmable or will they be available through summons starting from a certain rarity, for example common and rare weapons farmable, and epic legendary ones through summoning? So in a demo version, they have shown that you can easily farm those weapons by killing bosses and obtain equipment through various quests that NPCs will give you. And as for like higher tier weapons, they will be most likely summonable. Like for example, Lost Wayne for Meliodas should definitely be a summonable weapon and not something that you can find in the world or just defeat a boss to get it. However, all of the characters in the demo were seen using some red rarity weapons, and I'm assuming those are higher rarity, but at the same time those weapons didn't look like and they were anything special, and they looked like you could just obtain them through beating bosses and maybe perhaps more difficult quests. Are the system requirements to play the game shown on Steam real? 32 gigs of RAM seems huge to me. Now, in the demonstration version, what they shown was that you could teleport seamlessly, and it did not require any time to perform a teleportation. So to do that, you need a lot of RAM so that the game can store the chunks of the map. So when you actually do teleport, it does not take time to load those chunks. So yeah, the 32 gigs is probably real, but they will probably have loading screens if you have a lower spec, for example like 16 gig. Games based on existing IPs often present a barrier to entry for new users, as they are typically unfamiliar with the original story of the characters. One potential solution is to introduce original storylines and original characters more frequently than the legacy ones, allowing new players to feel more included and less reliant on prior knowledge of the IP. You can literally just watch the anime for free or read the manga. It's not a burden. If you have time to play, you can probably read it or watch it. I don't understand why it's such a big problem for people to enter into a game that is based on an existing IP. It's just a limiting mindset. For example, most of people probably know about something like Dragon Ball, and if they are a fan, they can easily just look it up, watch it, and just play. Like, who cares? Even if it's about existing IP and you're a new user who is not familiar with it, like, why do you care? Enjoy the game. It's not much about characters. It's about how you perceive the story. Like, you don't need prior knowledge because, for example, in Grand Cross, the story goes 100% through the story of the series, so you're introduced to it. Here, the story is original, but it goes back in time and shows characters in their, let's say, prime, or shows them in storylines that someone who has watched anime has already seen. But because there are some time distortions in the story is changed, and it's basically a new story, and you are trying to save the original timeline. Now, I don't think Seven Deadly Sins IP is deprived of characters. It has a lot of characters, maybe not hype characters, but it still has a lot of characters. So it's not a limitation of the story. And as the story is going on, the 4 Nights of Apocalypse, new characters are added anyways. So we don't really need original characters from the game. But of course, those are welcome. But me personally, and many people, even in the Discord server, don't really care about those characters and would like them to not be introduced. Or at least if they are in fact introduced, don't make them appear like characters from Genshin or WoWa and so on, because we have seen some OCs and they look absolutely horrible. They look nothing like a Seven Deadly Sins character, but at the same time, in Grand Cross, for example, there are OCs like Lilia, who is absolutely gorgeous and also looks exactly how a character from Seven Deadly Sins should look. So I'm hoping that in the future the developers will redesign the original characters introduced in the game and make them appear more stylistically matching to the art style of the original series. Will there be collectible outfits like in Grand Cross or Soul Leveling Arise? Yes. Like straight up, yes. They confirmed that in 2023. Will we be able to play as characters from 4 Knights of Apocalypse in the game, such as Percival, Gawain, Lancelot, Nassim, Angelhad, or even Donnie? Yes, absolutely. They will be adding those characters. Because, for example, Tristan is obviously from there, and Tiore appears later. And Tiore was originally introduced for the game, and then appeared in the manga. So yeah, those characters are definitely coming. Also, you can see Percival and Lancelot in one of the very first trailers, so obviously they were planned for the game. Will the entire story be available on day 1, or will it be like 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross with time gaps between each story chapter? Most likely it will be like Grand Cross, because the story is obviously new, so they can slowly develop through it and add new parts to it. Will we have different version of Tristan, like 4 Knights of Apocalypse anime version or the time skip version from the manga? There will definitely be versions for characters. For example, they will release Escanor, a base version, and then later they will release the one Escanor, for example. Because they have shown gameplay for Meliodas, and he cannot transform, so probably they are planning to release a different version of him. So most likely there will be different version of characters too, and especially with time-based storyline, they can easily release characters from different times of the series. Will there be customs in the future? There are already customs in the present, so obviously there will be more customs in the future. Will the map of Britannia in the 7 Deadly Sins origin be fully open for exploration from the start, or will it unlock gradually as the game progresses? We would assume it will be like Genshin or Wuthering Waves, so slowly they will add more and more to explore, but like main parts of Britannia, such as Lyonesse, will obviously, well, most likely be available right away. Also, are there plans to add new locations over time? If so, will those new areas be based on the 7 Deadly Sins manga? Yeah, obviously, they will do exactly that. What's your idea of implementing the PvP system? Will it be revolved around Gacha system? They already said that there will be a friendly PvP, so it will probably be casual, and you don't really need to spend a lot on a Gacha to be proficient in a friendly PvP, because why would you? But if the PvP is in fact competitive, then probably you will need to summon a lot, yeah. I would like to know if the game will have options for controller for mobile devices. Well, I'm not 100% sure about that. However, because the game is coming to PlayStation 5 right away, very likely it will be optimized on other platforms to support the PlayStation controller. So probably it will have wireless controls for a controller on a mobile. In the 7 Deadly Sins Origin game, will there be characters such as participants of Ten Commandments or other organizations from the original universe? Yes, absolutely. Will your game also have a full-fledged multiplayer? Well, I don't know what he means by full-fledged. Maybe he means MMO, but it does have multiplayer like Genshin, like Wuthering Waves, and even something like raids in Blue Protocol. How will it be possible to get characters? I mean, through the gacha system, or will some characters be given out as the storyline progresses? Yes, there will be a gacha system where you can obtain characters, and yes, some characters like Tiora and Tristan will be given through the story. When will the news about the game be? Well, they are dropping news almost every day now, on like Twitter. Hello dear developers, I would like to know if the playable characters will only be protagonists, or will we have opportunity to play as antagonists like Ten Commandments, Knight, King of the Demons, or even some Chaos Knights. As known, if the original characters will be canonized, and finally whether there is a limit to the number of characters from the original work that will be included in the game, or will they be limited to Season 1 of 4 Knights of Apocalypse? Yes, definitely you will be able to play as, for example, Ten Commandments, because it's a gacha at the end of the day, and because it deals with time travel. They have used that to implement the characters from the past and even from the future. So, obviously, since they need to somehow monetize the game, the popular characters like Ten Commandments, even probably Demon King and Chaos Knights and so on, will definitely appear in the game, but it will definitely take time. For example, if you are familiar with 4 Knights of Apocalypse, you will assume that character like Jericho is an antagonist and you can play as her anyway, so take that as you will. Hello, I'd like to know if there will be English voice acting in the game. I'm a visually impaired person, reading subtitles is very difficult for me, so having English voice actors in the game would be a fantastic option. Yes, I really hope that they will implement this, but as for now, the available dubs for the game are English and Korean only, so hopefully this person will be able to get English voice acting. Not just this person, but all of us are hoping for English voices. In the trailers, we have seen controllable characters like Gilthunder, Hauser, and Merlin. Will we be able to explore with all characters, including those with non-standard body types like Giant Tien or Galland? Now, we have seen Galland as a boss, but I'm sure they will add someone like Galland, because it's not like Galland is super gigantic. He's like 5 meters tall maybe. But Giant Tien, that is a good question. But personally, I think that they will add a Giant Tien, because they did it in Grand Cross and fairly easily. Now, it will definitely be difficult here, but from earlier interviews, the creator of the game, the developer of the game, was saying that he was not familiar with Genshin, so he probably did not have any idea of body types that are present there, so he probably plans to add giant characters, because Galland and Escanor, for example, are of similar height. Escanor is like 3 meters tall, Galland is like 2 meters taller, but they are quite similar in height. Well, because they are both gigantic humanoids. So those type of characters will definitely appear. As for the giants, I am not sure, but let's hope they will add those. There are posts showing that character outfits can be changed. Will outfits be major feature like Grand Chorus, or more limited and cosmetic? Yes, there are obviously outfits, but they are probably more so cosmetic. Now, as for if the cosmetics will add some major features or like stats, I'm not sure, because we have seen Tiora change outfits in the demonstration version and nothing happened to her, so I'm not sure about that. How will combat roles such as damage dealers, tanks and supports be handled in Origin compared to traditional gacha systems? Well, in the demo you can see someone like Tiore be able to use a healing ability that she creates a pond where if you set your character in a selected area where that pond is, the character will be healed. And also because the game utilizes a shared HP pool, you can literally set every character as an HP based character, so the pool is higher, and use only a single character to deal a lot of damage. Like for example, Meliodas is a super explosive, super fast damage dealing character. You can use him with an attack set and give other characters an HP set to maximize the HP while maximizing the damage output of a single character, who will also be able to tank the damage because your HP is so high. Will characters have unique traversal mechanics based on their abilities? For example, DM jumping, king flying, bound sprinting. Now everyone can sprint in the game. I don't know what they mean by just jumping, but you can see in the game that you can obviously jump. But there are sequences where a character will literally appear from the sky and go down and hit the enemy, so maybe that's what they are referring to. But also in the very first trailer you can see King flying using his chestifall, and he turns it into a pillow and he flies with it. So maybe that's something they are considering, but I'm not sure. We have not seen that in a demonstration version. Can we expect a global beta or a demo release in the coming months to test the game? Yes, absolutely. They have provided a PDF file where you can read about it, and English version also had a beta planned, so probably it's a global beta, not just locked to a certain region. Will the game be released in the second half of 2025 or the end of 2025? I mean, the end of 2025 is the second half of 2025, so I don't know what he means by that. Will there be multiple versions of one character to get like Grand Cross, or will there be one unit per character like Genshin Impact or some other gachas? For example, we have seen Jericho, Gila and Hauser's most recent 4 Knights of the Apocalypse appearance to be playable in the trailers, but would the chance of their and other characters' 7 Deadly Sins version designs be playable? Yes, because for example you can see Meliodas and Elizabeth and even King using their 7 Deadly Sins version, but not their 4 Knights of Apocalypse version, which means that obviously those versions will be coming separately. Now as for someone like Jericho, Gila and Hauser will most likely just receive a cosmetic to look like his younger self, so will probably Jericho, but Jericho has ice abilities, so probably not. Maybe just the normal Jericho will appear as summonable, but Hauser will probably receive a cosmetic. Gila will probably receive different versions because we have seen a demon Gila but not normal Gila. We saw Meliodas fight Gallant, so are there hopes of more of the Ten Commandments being involved? Absolutely, those are super popular, so they will definitely be coming to the game. Will this game have a gacha system? Yes. Well, about its consistency and excellence, and they are saying that they are trying to make it as free-to-play friendly as possible, but let's be real, they probably are not. They will probably follow something like Wuthering Waves type of gacha system. Do you intend to include characters with different body types? For example, will they be able to explore with a giant character, or will there be temporary transformations during combat? Well, I don't know about the giant characters, but body types in this game are super diverse. Like for example, you can't just say that Meliodas and Tristan have same body type. Meliodas, one of two is a little bit taller, the other is a little bit wider in the shoulders. So yeah, even those like very similar body types have like noticeable differences. As for like super different body types like giant characters, we are not sure yet, unfortunately. In the 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross, you introduced many original characters with their own stories. Do you plan to include them in this game as well, possibly with their stories re-emerging using the qualities of the 7 Deadly Sins origin? Of course, they are introducing DLCs, and on top of that, in 2023 they said that they were planning to use characters from all the 7 Deadly Sins IPs, including Grand Cross. And that's what they were going to do initially, but they declined that idea and decided to focus solely on the original series. On the older version of the website, we saw that Leonis was in complete chaos. Are you planning to make the environment dynamic? For example, depending on the player's progress or action, could part of the map become destroyed or repaired? Yes, definitely. A lot of gachas and a lot of open world games actually do that. But when that happens, you are limited and you cannot invite a friend, for example, to join you because you have to finish that part of the story. So the environment is back to the normal and that other players can join you later. In the trailers, we saw some scenes from the original 7 Deadly Sins story. Will we actually be able to replay those moments? For example, will there be able to return to the Old Britannia at some point? Yes, definitely. I don't know exactly about Old Britannia, but yes, we have seen the original 7 Deadly Sins story play out there. For example, King battling an Albion, but it goes differently. That Albion is corrupt, and it's jacked as King was fighting a skinny Albion. Now he's fighting a super jacked Albion right after that. In the original, if I remember correctly, the tree that King is trying to defend is destroyed, but here he actually protects it. So story will be a bit different, but we will be like saving the original timeline, if that makes sense. In one of the trailers, we saw a boat being built, and then Tristan and Theores setting off on an adventure. Will players be able to control those type of transports for traveling? That's a great question. I definitely do not have answers for that. I will not be pretending to have answers for that. But we also saw a very interesting part where a giant picks you up and takes you somewhere. I think that is still in the game because in some of the gifts that they have dropped, not the gifts, but like content on their website, you can see that giants still existing in the game. So they are probably planning to add different types of traversal to the game. Are there any plans to include original characters from Grand Cross in Origin? They have refused such idea, but hopefully they have reconsidered it after the years, and hopefully we get those characters. Will you implement a system of Anvils and Hammers to change reroll, upgrade stats in equipments like in 7 Deadly Sins Grand Cross? That would be so awesome, and I really hope they will do that. That would be great. How the PvP will work? Personally hope there will be no PvP. There is PvP, but and they said that it will be casual, but obviously let's just wait and see. Will the rest of the sins other than King and Gunther be able to use their secret treasures? Like, will we be able to play as Merlin, Meliodas Spawn in the end while using the Lost Wing and the other weapons? Yes, definitely. Those will probably be summonable weapons. Guys, please add Turkish subtitles. There are a lot of Turkish people asking for that, so I don't think it should be that difficult. Hopefully you guys will do that. Know if maybe the shared HP thing could be changed or even removed. Oh, shut the fuck up, man, because I prefer when characters are individual. Nah, man, shut the fuck up. That's like such a horrible take, because literally every game utilizes a system like that, so why would you not want 7 Deadly Sins Origin to do something original and something that's fun and new? Like, that's just a horrible take from you. It actually adds a little bit of difference to the game. It's not just like Genshin or Wuthering Waves. Like, those differences are great. Why would you not want that to exist? Do you not have any fatigue from playing the other gachas? Like, it's fun to have some differences. Like, why would you be against that? Like, that's just dumb. Will dialogue be skippable? Yes, the dialogue is skippable. Can you at least swear that the game will release this year? Yes, the game will release this year, and I will explain why. The investors for the game have already put their money in the game development, and they were told that the game will be released in 2025, which you can see in their quarterly reports that they are putting on Netmarble website, which means that they are obligated to those investors to release the game this year. No other fucking option, okay? Let's be clear on that. My only question, spoiler for the manga, will we be able to visit different realms like Purgatory, Demon Realm, and so on? Damn, I probably can't answer that, but we probably will, because that's content, and they would like to expand the world with content, obviously. Will there be character skins and weapons like in Grand Cross? Yes. Will there be world bosses or bosses only in your world with invited friends? World bosses do exist, yes. I don't know about the bosses with invited friends. I don't understand that question. How will the selection of the new characters be released? Oh, that's a great question. Probably it will be random, but hopefully there will be like good releases. When will the game have gameplay revealed? More gameplay, obviously. I feel like the marketing is failing in this. Yes, they will. They definitely need to improve their marketing. It's absolutely horrible. Yeah, this guy is absolutely right. Hopefully the original characters designed to match styles of like Genshin will either be gone or have themselves redesigned to match Seven Deadly Sins art style. Because it's quite easy. Even in like Grand Cross, the original characters do match the Seven Deadly Sins art style pretty easily. Like, once again, example like Lilia, in both of her forms, she looks absolutely perfect and matches the art style of the show. Will pets be combat assistant or purely mounts? They are cosmetic pets, you just summon them, and there are two types of mounts. How will the pets be obtained through gacha or by exploring the world? Now, I can't answer if they will be obtainable through gacha, however, yes, they will be obtainable by defeating enemies and also even through activities like fishing, for example, which they have confirmed in 2023. This will be very nice, however, we don't know that yet. Yeah, this is also a very important question. Hopefully we will get answers for those. You will probably unlock zones with this story, so like you don't get spoiled or something. Maybe, but who knows? Can players gather resources, craft items, or cook? Yes, all of those except for item crafting has been already shown, so yes. Will there be dynamic events in the world, weather changes, enemy invasions, etc.? Weather changes, definitely. I don't know what you consider enemy invasions, but for example, when you're exploring the map, you can encounter, for example, bulls, and those bulls will charge at you. You can avoid them and go do your thing. They will not chase you, just charge at you once. Yeah, those are also good questions that we will have to see. Will there eventually be playable characters from latter parts of Four Nights of Apocalypse? Yes, absolutely. Now this is a little bit silly, and this is up to the community to figure out. This is also a very good question. So Netmarble also has its own launcher. So probably they will add the game to it. They were planning to add it to some cube launcher, but they decided to not to do that. So they will probably add it to Netmarble Launcher too, because they added all of their past games, like Game of Thrones games that they just released. They added to the Netmarble Launcher, so they will probably add this one too. Will there be Ultrawide support or any DLSS FreeSync tech? Yes. Ultrawide has been planned even since like the first trailer. You can see the first trailer is actually in Ultrawide mode, and there are also screenshots, not screenshots but pictures that people have taken of the game in Ultrawide, and it looks flawless. Will there be any DLSS? Yes, absolutely, because their other game like Mongil Stardive already uses DLSS and even FSR, and they also have ray tracing, so it will probably also be in the 7 Deadly Sins Origin. Yeah, so looking at it, I think most of those are like repeating questions, and I have already talked for almost an hour, so I think we will end here. Yeah, definitely will be more characters after the release. And this is funny. Will the game have Tristan? Probably not. I don't know. Hopefully he's there. We have not seen him in any trailers or something, so let's hope he's there. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and have a wonderful day.